Hey, everybody. Michelle's here on this Friday. I finished working outside, so I look like I've been working outside. I feel like it too. Um, it was still comfortable, but the humidity was out there. I felt the humidity. But I just want to come on through since I'm thinking about this and just say something. And I'm going to be talking vaguely because I like to respect people's privacy as well as my own, even though everything about us is known all over the place. There's no such thing as the traditional privacy that we're used to anymore. As soon as we all signed on to this internet service back in the day, whenever that was, that all that was out the window. Everything about us is known. And I think that, rubbed some people the wrong way because I think it was last year, April. I put a video out on this before, but I'm just recapping. Back in April, I think April 2022, I had joined a group, and I'm not going to say much about it. It was just a professional group. How about that? So anyway, I joined a group of professionals, and I went in like every. See, I knew what my intentions were. Let me make this very clear. And I know how certain groups. I know how it is when you're attempting to join a group, whether it's physically or just virtually on the internet. Okay. Now, in a physical setting, I approach things completely different because there's a safety issue if you go into a group physically and not understand the cliquishness going on or the already established relationships or conversations and blah blah blah. It's like it's tricky. Everybody knows that if you physically go into a group that's already been established, and you're attempting to get in and be a part of the group, blah blah blah. Physically, I'm talking. That can be pretty awkward because usually people have already established their little groups, mini groups. They got the so-called major group. Then you have people breaking off on in certain this and that and the other similarities, I guess you can say, or similar interests, or similar this or similar that. Everybody starts breaking up. But they're still in the group. You understand what I mean? And certain people from one state will meet here, one state meet there. I knew all that was going on. Whether it's in person or virtually. And virtually online is a bit different. I'll go into that in a minute. So when I go into a physical environment of a group, I'm usually very cautious, of course, and I may be standoffish in the beginning because I'm navigating to figure out, make sure I'm safe to be here. Make sure I'm safe to be in the group. All right. So I may be a little bit standoffish, looking around, getting a feel for the energy and making sure I'm safe. Okay. I do that all the time. I remember I used to do that when I used to go to particular states when they have these house parties going on. I would kind of creep in there, and navigate around and make sure and do a perimeter check, okay, and make sure I'm safe. Because usually these house parties took place in a house, or some people would rent. I think they would rent convention centers. I don't know. I mean, hotels and this and that and the other. They occurred at hotels and this and that and the other. So I had been doing that for years. I get my hotel, go to these parties, and sometimes I would just sit back and observe for the first hour or two. In most cases, though, I would plan to meet with somebody. I prefer that, physically meet with someone, so that I can, so that I can, feel a little bit more comfortable in certain surroundings. Because there's nothing. I'm not shy at all. There's nothing about me that's shy, but I'm really cautious of certain type of personalities and certain type of energy. I make sure I'm very clear on being comfortable in certain environments of energy, because there's a particular things, like I said, that were starting to happen, And usually when there's war somewhere, no matter where it is, when there's war in a country, it starts affecting everybody's personality and their energy. And nobody, and years down the line, people are going to realize that is so true. We come from the earth. We are on earth, and you're disturbing the planet with war. And you don't think it's going to affect the people that live on it, the animals, the environment, the human beings? It does. It affects our psyche and our consciousness adversely. All right, but I'll go into that another time. Because certain conversations like this have to be face to face in order to protect people and make sure, the energy is flowing properly. All right, so I plan to, in the future, talk face to face to people in groups, because I wanted to do stuff online, but I know that there's no safety there online, no matter what anybody says. When I say safety, that means that it's not effective, in my opinion, to be attempting to go so deep into helping people online. Now, online has its purpose. We all know that. But when it comes to repairing the damage, like to the culture, to the psyche, to the consciousness, that requires proper setting so that you don't have people going off somewhere and taking their revenge out on innocent people. All right? And that's where people have failed in that regard, attempting to do all this stuff online and thinking they're making an impact, and all they're doing is making things worse. All right? So everyone should reevaluate that and find out, what is your intentions? Okay? Your intentions need to be very clear. And if it's not about universal love, protecting everyone, regardless of whether you agree with them or not, okay, being able to identify, warning signs and this and that and the other. I mean, it's a process, and it's a stage. It's stages. Okay, you can't fix anything in an hour. All right, so we just need to be very clear on our intentions. What's our intentions? And so that's an individual. That's an individual situation. And if you're a group or a like-minded group, that has to be clear and effective. Okay, because you can do more damage and more harm than good, and cause other people to be caught in the crossfires, literally, because of our attempts to get millions of followers, versus making sure these people that are calling in or whatever, or in the group or on Zoom or wherever they are, instead of making sure these people are safe, and that they're taken care of when we start talking about sensitive subjects. To me, sensitive subjects ought to be done in a group setting. Again, where you can monitor and make sure you're picking up on the energy, and make sure these people that you're talking to or you're attempting to help, you're not causing a crisis. Now, I know a lot of people do stuff online and they say they do it in private groups. That's fine. You can do that, but just know the dangers that can cause if it gets into the wrong hands. Because everybody's monitoring what everybody's doing, whether you're in a private group or not. Keep that in mind. And there's nothing secretive about it. It's just a private group to protect people. But, you just have to understand that's almost obsolete. Doesn't exist. So you have to play it right. It's a strategy. And like I said, it's stages. And I do appreciate people attempting to help as best they can. But make sure you understand what your intentions are. If it's a financial gain, or it's a following, getting large followings, and it's all about materialism, then I don't know. I would kind of reevaluate it, because you don't want no liability on your hand if something were to happen. All right, even though you may not be directly involved, you indirectly cause this person to go off, and and go take matters out on innocent people. All right. So my intentions is to make sure I have things in proper setting. And for me, because I'm a visual person, I like to be visually watching people and paying attention to their behaviors and actions if I'm supposed to be helping them. Okay. I don't like doing it over the phone. definitely not. That's the worst. Okay. And on the internet with the videos, I mean, that has some effect, but it's mostly there's more misunderstanding that way than anything, because usually everybody's over talking each other. It all depends on your internet. It all depends on your bandwidth. It also depends on the algorithms. It depends on your demographics. All of that stuff plays a key into how that can be effective. Service can be interrupted. I've seen people talking on certain networks, and all of a sudden the guest having problems with their internet. Come on now. And we're supposed to have 5G? Come on now. You know what I mean? When they start talking about certain topics. So we're all going to have to reevaluate that. And I know there's going to be some pushback. And I expect that, But it doesn't mean that we can't enter into the conversations now before the damage. I mean, the damage is done in some sense but it is about other factors that we could possibly save people. And what I mean by that is not that we need to be worried about nature. We need to be worried about each other. Save ourselves from ourselves. That's where it is right now. So when I joined that group, I knew what I was up against. Okay, I know how people are behaving online, because people behave differently online than they do in person. I know that. Okay, and they can hide behind screen names and hide behind this and hide behind that, and then be creating just pure terror and creating all this rhetoric. So all that had been going on for a while. And so once I retired, I said, well, let me take a chance, because I knew what I was up against. Trust. Look, look. Okay, I come from a law enforcement background, so I knew what I was up against. Okay, I knew what I was up against. But I still knew I had to do something. I knew it. And so I had to, and thankfully I had built myself up. I had enough confidence. Like I said, I'm not shy, but I know that but in person, I know I can kind of navigate myself to where, I make sure I'm safe. Online, you can kind of let yourself go in a way, because nobody really knows you. Honestly, I came into this particular group. Nobody knew me. Shit. They knew nothing about me. So I had to suspend my ego, because I knew I was going to get battered. That's my point. And battered meaning, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I came in prepared. I knew what my intentions were. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what the impact would be. And again, no one knew me in this group, so I felt fine. Or at least I didn't think they know me. Well, they didn't know me, but some of them knew of me. Let's put it that way. Because I had some interactions with some back in the day, right? In clubs, in house parties, in gatherings. There was an association with some of them in the group. I knew that. But to know me per se, nah, not really. Not really. They didn't. They thought, no. They thought they knew me. No, they didn't know me at all. And that was my doing. I know exactly how much I need to share with people, to be honest with you. A lot of people think I'm being very transparent, which I am, but I know what to say and what not to say. Okay, I know what I am doing, and I say that with sincere honesty, with sincerity, with honesty, with I know what I'm doing, and I know it's risky. So be it. It is so. Now, so when I went into the group, the factors were there. The factors were there. I knew that certain people had already developed themselves. Just, even though this was a group, several people were having their own little kind of private conversations, and that's fine. Hey, it happens, That's not an issue with me. But if you're attempting to make an impact in a certain way, that it can be a little tricky, which it was. Oh God, because first I started testing. I started testing the waters, so to speak, and that's what you need to do. Is my point. Test the waters. Figure out, okay, what is really going on in this group. Okay, what is the purpose of this group, honestly? So, because the title can say one thing, but you get in there, and all kind of things were going on. But in other words, I knew what I was doing. I knew I was going to get battered. And which I was, because I would say something just to see how people would react, and, But I knew I had to keep forward. I knew I had to keep forward because I knew my intentions were good. Okay, I knew what my intentions were, and my intentions were not nefarious at all. They were good intentions, but sometimes good intentions get knocked away, and more so, and sometimes it's just so hard to break through groups of people, and when they have established themselves, years of establishment. And then, they got this stranger coming up in there. So I knew I had to do things a way that I knew could control the narrative. How about that? And that was the whole purpose. So I started doing things a little differently than what was supposed to be done. Right? And it didn't cause a problem per se. Because, because I knew I was on the verge at some point by the administrators to be kicked out. I knew eventually I would be disruptive. I knew it. And get my ass kicked out. And that's how it appears. Because, like I said, I can't get back in the group, even though I was told I'm still a part of the group, but I don't really want to be back in the group, honestly. I don't. And there's no hard feelings about that. Like sometimes you got to move on. I got other, as they say, other fish to fry. So when I move and get into another location, and set myself up, I plan to do some face-to-face stuff. Okay, I'm going to be going into people's face, going into groups physically, and start talking that way, and see how much of an impact I can make that's safe and clear, effective. Okay, and what's the word? Clear, effective. It makes the most impact without causing harm and having misunderstandings and this and that and the other. Because when you're online, you're going to have misunderstandings. That just comes with the territory, And then, you don't know who you're exactly talking to, And then you got deep fake going on. And this and that, androids, avatars. So, fake screen names, fake personas. You got all that you have to deal with. And thankfully, I did get some experience from being on a former forum back in the day. It was the same circumstances, The only difference with that one is that there's no videos. All you got is screen names and people just talking, typing and back and forth, and nobody really knows who anyone is, no matter what they say. They don't know who. You can be talking to one person and you think you're talking to another person, and it's the same person. A lot of people were having all these personas. And that's everywhere. Every group I've joined, because I think I joined another forum back in the day, you don't know who you're talking to. But like I said, when I would be talking, when I say talking, typing, I was being genuine. And I was saying genuine, honest stuff. I was not attempting to mislead people. I wasn't attempting to manipulate or deceive or any of that kind of stuff. I was telling people I was just telling them my theories and opinions, which means what? Not a goddamn thing. But yet it stirs people up, though, and have them going in conversations. And so it got to a point where it got to a fever-pitched environment where it was toxic beyond anything I've ever experienced in my life. And that's with any forum, any group, prior to certain things happening. Because I noticed there's some type of shift going on, and I'm not sure what it is, honestly. I don't know what's going on, because things are a little bit different with Facebook and the other social media platforms. There's a lot more, there seems to be a little bit more calm for some reason. And but something changed, just put it that way. Who knows what? Especially when Facebook supposedly became Meta. That's when I noticed a change. But anyway, and that was back in October. Okay, in October, I knew there was I knew that something was, I'll say, I hate that word, but I knew in October there was something that snapped. And it was like I felt like I went into a whirlpool based on the stuff I was saying. So chances are I went into a whirlpool of the Facebook police or the Meta police or social media police. Something happened in October. Okay. And I know that. Okay. Yeah, I know. So, because I could tell. So, like I said, when I was I'm sorry. When I was in the group, okay, like I said, I was having genuine conversations, asking genuine questions, okay? Because like I said, I had a crush on someone in there, in the group, that I saw their face back in the day. And I still have the crush, okay? I still have the crush on that person. But, or whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out, right, at some point. But anyway, so I remember when I was in the group, and I knew, like I said, I knew certain people had already established their little cliques, their little privacy groups, even though they were still out in the open. They were still like on, how it is when you go to a club, people like fight, get into their little corners and have their little private shit going on in the club. And then, then you always see somebody standing up against the wall by themselves, looking around. What I used to do is kind of walk around the club. I suggest everybody do it. Like I said, walk around any place where you're with a lot of people you don't know. Walk around, make sure you're picking up the right kind of energy, so that you know if you need to get the hell up out of there or not, and know where the exits are so you can get the fuck out if something breaks off. I don't go into that type of environment anymore. That stopped a long time ago. I can't remember how long ago that I went to a club per se, or a house party per se. I can't remember, but I could, but that's irrelevant right now. But anyway, so I would say something, because I knew these people had, this type of, when I say these people, that's not being offensive, by the way. It's just, I'm just attempting to communicate properly and effectively and clearly as well. But so I knew this group, say it was a group of 5 people, and they'll be talking back and forth to each other, and I'll kind of interject. I'll inject my comments, and they probably say, "Bitch, who asked you?" I did that on purpose, so so I can break up stuff, break it up, and then I started asking questions, and then people, and I think once they realized I was no threat, I was no threat per se. They started answering my questions, because I started asking a lot of questions. Because that's what I do, by the way. I love asking questions. I love understanding people and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And it's so hard to do that online. To me, that's the worst way to do it. Because I like to see you, and I like to be getting feedback from you, from your energy, right? That's my preferred way. But hey, we got the social media. And then when you do the Zoom or any other video, it's still, like I said, it's still an interference. Because, sometimes people are talking over each other. You can't hear them, the internet, blah, blah, blah. So I started asking questions. These were genuine questions. I am attempting to get to know people. Okay, because I wanted to physically meet people. So that's why I started doing that. I started asking questions and da-da-da-da-da-da. But then something happened as I was doing my videos and what I was saying in my videos, because I was being very honest in my videos. Okay, sharing things. Okay, because that's what my purpose is, to protect, defend, and love. Okay, and so that means sometimes I may have to bring out a warrior spirit, and that's what I said. Sometimes you have to be a warrior, whether you're a man or a woman. All right, and in order to protect, defend, and love people in some of these environments. Okay, this online culture was causing people to commit suicide. It was causing these people to go out and create mass murder. Unlike anything we've ever seen before, nobody's going to admit it. Social media was doing that. Targeting people, bullying people. And it was cowards doing it. It was the cowards hiding behind screen names and hiding in corners in their houses, on their computers, terrorizing people. So that's why the incels grew to, who knows how many people are in incels. All right. And a lot of people don't want to admit it, that they may be dealing with incels in their groups, in the gaming community. All right. Or any other type of community where you interact, but you don't really need to know who these people are. You're interacting with strangers. All right. So that happens a lot in gaming. All right. And we need to call that out and stop attempting to justify that it doesn't cause more harm than good when you don't know who these people are behind these computer screens. Okay. Now, because everybody likes to have fun, but I think we've taken gaming to an extreme terroristic mentality where people can project so much of their anger and all that, via these video games. And when they realize that it doesn't satisfy usually it's a sexual frustration, then they go out and physically harm people. Okay? Because they're spending all day and all night on these video games or these video consoles or whatever. Okay, and that happens being in a group as well. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a video game. It could be just being in a group of so-called like-mindedness where you're just on the computer all day long. And you don't go outside. You don't interact with your family. I knew there was an issue with a relative, and I'm just going to say something very briefly about that. I knew there was an issue, and I can remember attempting to bring it to the parents' attention, and I got chewed out about it. You don't have any children. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, cool. And then things started happening. Okay, so and things started happening. Let's put it that way. But not happening to me. So we just have to own our responsibilities and our accountabilities about what we may be causing by our rhetoric, and not think that our rhetoric doesn't harm people, whether we're doing it online or in person. In most cases, in person, these people are cowards. They'll sit in the corner and won't say a goddamn thing. And there'll be somebody there. Say, for example, they have a group meeting for people to come in and voice their opinions and tell these officials how you can make things better for your community. And some of these narcissistic cowards won't say a goddamn thing. They're just sitting there picking up ways to how to manipulate people and deceive people. They won't say a damn word. Okay, and you approach them, and they won't say a goddamn thing either. But they wait until they get on their computers, in their dark corners in their homes. And then that's when they unleash terror on innocent people. Right. All right. I digress. I'm rambling. Am I rambling? Yeah. So when I went into this group, it wasn't to be disruptive. I just needed to get in, because I knew I had some things to share that was extremely important. I had some things to say that I knew was extremely important. And I knew this group will be impacted more negatively than any other group. I knew they would be adversely affected by me not saying what I had to say. So I had to get in there and say it. even though, like I said, I was on the verge of being kicked out many times. I knew it, I felt it, but then somehow it kind of, I think towards the end, before something happened, they realized my intentions, what my intentions were. But by that time, I think somebody may have been listening to what I was saying, or somebody may have snitched and became an informant and went back and started telling people what I'm saying. Okay. And which were theories and opinions, by the way. But yet, when I guess I must have touched the nerve of someone, right? Or some agency or some government agency. How about that? And then that's when I noticed things started changing. Okay, the conversations were changing. I could tell the people changed too. All right, no longer. First, they had their actual face out there. Actual face. Like a selfie, and then they started turning into avatars. So I had no idea who the fuck I was talking to. Sorry about the cursing, but I had no idea who I was talking to or interacting with, so to speak. Because I could tell the language was, because I know how to pick up on a certain way somebody interacts via texting, online or whatever you call that, posting online. I can kind of pick up a pattern of a person's personality that way and know who I'm talking, know that, okay, that's the same person. But then I noticed some of that was changing. Certain people that were calling themselves this, all of a sudden the avatar pops up and then they're talking a different way. Their language was different. How about that? I knew that was going on as well. So it got out of control a little bit. But I still felt compelled to continue because I knew I was being helpful, and I knew I had some things I had to say, and I'm glad I said it. I will never, ever regret what I've done and what I'm doing even today, which people may not understand, and that's fine. The only difference now is when it's online. I'm doing a little bit more. I'm doing something a little bit differently, because I'm dealing with all walks of life now. I'm not dealing with a particular group of people, on the same, that are similar in, say, lifestyle or race. This is a little different. Okay, this is going to be a more impact, and so I need to make sure I'm speaking in the proper setting. That's all I'm saying. And so on the next phase of my life, once I get myself set up, that's what I plan to do. Go into groups physically and talk in safe spaces. Okay. So sometimes you do have to, invite yourself into a group. Sometimes you have to break up, certain cliques and not be so concerned about whether people think you're crazy or not. I keep bringing that up because, a lot of people are so shy. I guess that's what it's called. Or I think they were telling me it was anxiety. Some type of social anxiety where a lot of people just do not know how to come into a physical group of people and start having a conversation without feeling some type of anxiety. Okay, and so we need to know what's that all about. Why is that happening? And I think that this internet craze, or this social media phenomena, or this social media disaster, because I think it's disaster more than anything. I mean, yes, it's helpful for some people, but it benefits people in the pyramids still. People that operate on a pyramid basis, they benefit from social media. Okay, and then there's I can tell by some of the posting, there's a lot of people struggling. And, that's unfortunate because, because sometimes these people are taught, are posting from parts unknown. Okay, you can easily, I mean, unless it's a government type of agency, which they're monitoring too all the time. Don't let them fool you and lie to you. You know, they're not paying attention to that. Okay, they're paying attention to other things that's stimulating them more so than anything that they want to resolve. Okay, so there is an opinion there, by the way. So I'm going to do everything in my power. Like, all I'm saying is to help, but I know I can't help everybody, and no one can. There's thousands of us like this. Let's say a million of us. Let's say a million, but versus 10 billion people, how much of an impact are you going to have? Do your math. Okay, I'm going to do the best I can, but at the same time, enjoy myself, and enjoy my personal life, and have intimacy and this and that and the other as well. Okay, not going to be stretching myself. Okay, that's illogical anyway. So, and I do everything to be logical and know that you can't save everybody. Okay, but it's you do a disservice if you don't share. At least you can share online and make it known to people that, yes, you can tell them they matter all you want, though, but they have to know that they matter. So that's why I say let's focus more on doing stuff face to face with people, and helping them. But there's nothing wrong with encouraging if you choose to do so. But just know that if somebody's reaching out and saying certain things, how are you going to help them when you're nowhere near them? They can be on the other side of the country. Right? So know what you are attempting to do. And as I said, what are your intentions? Okay? So I already told you what mine were when I joined that group. I was just want to get in there. By any means necessary. And put my ego aside and know that I was going to be made fun of, which I was. I knew I was going to be deceived, and I was manipulated. There was probably some deep fake going on there. These are my opinion. I mean, it may be denied. I don't know, because like I said, things started changing, and the conversation started changing, and I noticed something was going on. And will I know the full picture of it all? I doubt it. Some of the questions, all of a sudden, I felt like questions were not necessarily directed towards the group, but directed towards me. Questioning me, and I thought that was odd. But I had nothing to hide. I don't, and even today I have nothing to hide. I'm as transparent as I can be, but I know what to say and what not to say too, because I know people still monitor me and others. I know that, and I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned, but I'll do everything I can by any means necessary to protect myself physically. All right, so that's clear. Okay, so, and I don't feel threatened in any way physically. So that's my intentions. I just want to share that for anyone that cares to know, what is happening next. That's what's happening next. I'll make the biggest impact, but it may be on a small scale. I'm not going to be attempting to draw in. To me, it's not about followers at all. It's not. And I don't need followers. I don't. And that's why I don't really need people to interact so much with my posts, because I don't want you to feel. I don't want you to be a target. Just in case someone decides to target me again. So I just want to share that, and let everybody know. Chances are, what I'm going to do is I'll probably stay in this one particular city. I'm thinking about. I think I'll probably hang out there first before I do some other other traveling that I wanted to do, and get myself established, because I got to get some genuine rest, and I need to be in a spa somewhere, get myself massaged. I need to replenish myself. I have a lot of energy, but I still need to replenish. Kind of not so much recover. It's like, rebuild. It's like refuel myself. That's the right word. Replenish, refuel. I need to have services done. I need to go here. Get a checkup. Get a physical. I need to do that. Those kind of things. The yearly things that I need to do. Get some insurance. Health insurance. Blah blah blah. So I got a lot of things to get myself established, so that when I do officially put my nonprofit out there, I'll be ready. I'll be ready to go. I can get the donations I need, because I do need to have a livelihood, but I want to get the proper donations from people that support me and know that, my efforts are genuine. Okay. It's not about making a whole lot of money, but I do have to maintain a livelihood. Okay. So that's why I chose a nonprofit. That's settled. That sits well with me, because it really doesn't require any marketing per se. I can't get past marketing. I don't really necessarily need to be involved with the depths of marketing. Okay, and I think marketing is more so for profit, right? I don't know if they do anything more that much with nonprofit. I don't know. I'll find out though. And then I'll get the right kind of people around me to help me build my nonprofit, and make it as successful as it can be, and make it as impactful as well. So that's my plans, my strategy, my intentions. Just in case, because I can sense when I plan to do something, stuff starts speeding up. So before you know it, I'll be on the road traveling west, and I'm looking forward to it, because it's, that's just how it rolls. Time is speeding up, in my opinion, anyway. But that's my opinion. But I know for me, when I make plans to do stuff, because I visualize it, it's like, all of a sudden, So, and before you know it, like I said, I'll be on the road, heading west, baby. So anyway, I want to send peace and love to everyone. Enjoy your weekend. And I want to let you know that I'll be back.